He was really in the middle because, like you said, it's young people. They are Israel critical. And he had to go and defend the bullshit of them at the campus, in the arena, in the pit.
Now you can't interview him.
Right, he's getting right.
Right, and because when the internet people start going, how are you at all these different things? Like, what are the odds? Like, if someone ran it through one of the ChatGPT perplexity things, like, what are the odds that this guy would be at all those different events and be involved?
Charlie Kirk's wife, along with her alleged involvement in everything that happened with Charlie, is now coming to light. Reports are surfacing that Charlie knew this was coming, and that someone had been plotting to remove him and take his place. Social media is now buzzing with these claims, revealing that the very people closest to Charlie were the ones who ultimately betrayed him.
Not the Trump administration. I said a boulevard in Israel. It's pretty clear. Not clear. What she said was, they, the Fed, give you a boulevard when that's a sure sign that they have killed. You know that they have killed. He was betrayed in the worst way possible, giving so much of his life to the Trump presidency, to politics. The federal government, the Trump administration, Charlie Kirk is the claim. Now I'm going to tell you how I feel about it, what I think about it, because you know who else would have to be involved? And this is the implication, of course, by design, and you can see the response with people out there saying, oh, well then anyone who's close to, this is an inside job. You know who's really close to President Trump, and you know who people are now saying stood to gain? Well, Charlie's wife, Erica Kirk, who has now been put, Candace with that language, with this accusation, has put the wife of Charlie Kirk, and she'll say, that's not what I tried to do. It is. It's the result. Erica Kirk in the crosshairs. It's not like you have to look through 6 degrees of separation.
Someone wanted Charlie gone. And as you start peeling back the layers of everything that led up to Charlie's death, it all begins to make sense. Candace Owens, one of Charlie's closest friends, revealed that Charlie knew betrayal was coming, and that's exactly what happened. His death wasn't random. It was planned. Every move was part of a bigger scheme to replace him. Now, with Charlie out of the picture, Erica and Ben Shapiro have stepped in and taken control.
The widow of conservative activist Charlie Kirk is taking over the organization her husband helped to establish. Erica Kirk was officially named as CEO of Turning Point USA by the group's board. In a post on social media today, the board said the organization will carry on and not surrender to evil. Charlie Kirk was fatally shot during an open-air event on the campus of Utah Valley University on September 10th. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson is charged in his case. Charlie Kirk co-founded Turning Point USA in 2012. The group is credited with energizing the youth vote in Donald Trump's 2024 presidential election victory.
Love you, Erica. Charlie, 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 Charlie. Love you, Erica. Charlie, Charlie, Charlie.
Charlie's death was never properly investigated, and now new reports are raising even more questions. Sources claim that Egyptian military contractors landed at Provo Airport on the very same day Charlie Kirk was killed. Why was a Gulfstream jet linked to the Egyptian government at Provo Airport at the exact time Charlie lost his life? The timing feels far too suspicious to ignore.
I can now report to you that it is a fact that on 9/4, there were, this was not some dropping by in Utah as they were trying to claim because the plane needed to be serviced. That's what they ran with. They ran with, this could have been a routine servicing. I guess there's just no place from Egypt all the way to Utah that an Egyptian military plane can get a tire changed. This is totally routine, nothing to see here. Well, I'm telling you that for a fact, that plane was carrying military subcontractors. And for a fact, they were dropped off in Provo, okay? And that they did not make it back to Cairo. I showed you the plane left. They left on September 10th. It then laid over in Wilmington, Delaware, and departed back for Cairo on the 11th. I am telling you that when that plane left, okay, those people were mysteriously missing from that plane, okay? What's going on here? Why are Egyptian military subcontractors, what are Egyptian military subcontractors doing in the middle of Provo, Utah on the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated? This might sound...
The decoy that the feds initially arrested was suspicious from the very beginning. Are we really supposed to believe that some random guy suddenly confessed saying, "I did it," right after someone was murdered? It doesn't add up. That same person just happens to get arrested immediately after the incident. On unclear charges, none of it makes any sense.
But this is his grandfather's rifle from World War I and doesn't have a serial code. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Why? Wait. Why are you using such an old... Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, is it possible that an old can be that accurate? If you have a smith and they work on it, yeah, it's totally possible. If you have a really good smith and he sets... If you're like a nostalgic person, you like driving an old car, you could bring it to a mechanic, they could redo the brakes.
Sure.
So if you got a good smith and he took a look at that and the action was true and, you know, the bore is good, you know, yeah, you could conceivably with it for hundreds of years, right? They don't necessarily go bad.
Right, they don't expire.
Right, and especially because all the stuff, like the trigger and the action and all that different stuff is replaceable. So you could just like, it's compartmentalized, it's components. That's the other thing. They said that he took it apart and then put it back together again. Shut the f*** up. Do you know how much time it would take to do that if you were highly skilled?
To disassemble a gun.
To disassemble a rifle so that you can get it in a backpack. And by the way, not gonna fit.
Not gonna fit in a backpack.
And then somehow or another reconnects it once he gets off the roof? What? What's that about?
Is that what they pitched, huh?
Yeah. And then he's supposed to get it in that stupid backpack. It's literally, it makes no sense.
And the elevator music was a nice touch, by the way.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
So this is just a narrative.
Charlie's death is now being used to push a political agenda. Everything that Charlie and TPSUA stood for is slowly being erased. The very things Charlie fought against are now being carried out. And ironically, they're being done in his name.
According to the narrative. Now, let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird going on with this.
I know.
First of all, there was that one guy who was the decoy. All right, so you got this guy who's an older guy who starts yelling out. Didn't he take his pants down? He took his pants down. This guy was at 9/11. He was at the Boston bombings.
All the hits.
He called in a fake bomb at another place. And then he did this at this thing. Right after, so somehow or another, this guy has the state of mind that the moment someone gets he yells out and says, I did it, and takes his pants down or something like that. I don't know exactly what he did. Then, ready for this? He gets arrested for child porn right away.
Right after this happened?
Oh, right away. He's in jail for child porn. Why is that? Well, now you can't interview him.
Right.
Right, and because when the internet people start going, how are you at all these different things? Like, what are the odds? Like, if someone ran it through one of the ChatGPT perplexity things, like, what are the odds that this guy would be at all those different events and be involved?
Right after Charlie's death, his wife held a memorial where she kept talking about how she would take over after Charlie and continue the real mission of Turning Point. But here's the question. What exactly is that real mission? In the months leading up to his death, Charlie was becoming increasingly anti-Israel. Candace Owens even released text messages from Charlie himself, where he admitted that he felt like he was being controlled.
You hope that. You hope that Charlie Kirk's death won't be used by a group we now call bad actors to create a society that was the opposite of the one he worked to build. You hope that. You hope that a year from now, the turmoil we're seeing in the aftermath of his murder won't be leveraged to bring hate speech laws to this country. And trust me, if it is, if that does happen, there is never a more justified moment for civil disobedience than that, ever, and there never will be. Because if they can tell you what to say, they're telling you what to think. There is nothing they can't do to you because they don't consider you human. They don't believe you have a soul. A human being with a soul, a free man, has a right to say what he believes, not to hurt other people, but to express his view.
Just hours after Charlie's death, the hashtag OtterUtah cover-up started trending. Was Tyler simply a scapegoat, or was someone helping him behind the scenes? Someone close to Charlie betrayed him, and when you start putting all the clues together, the truth becomes hard to ignore. It all points to exactly who that person was.
It showed generally they were still aligned. More interesting was his interview with Megyn Kelly.
Yeah.
Where clearly he platformed Tucker and you, and it seemed that supporting Israel was in contention, which they hate that that's even on the table, because it matters how you set the table. It doesn't necessarily even matter what your position is, but they don't want that to be up for debate. Do we support Israel? Not a question they want people to ask.
Well, especially when you're losing the debate.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that doesn't help either.
Yeah, especially when you get booed and, you know, the debate, they don't like that either. And so even that, they were really pushing back on Charlie, threatening. I guess the new revelation is they took the money. They took the $2 million. It's a pretty big organization, but that's not a negligible chunk of change for Charlie and Turning Point USA. And he goes in the group chat, and assuming, like you said, that it's authentic, you know, that is, I think, the most stark thing we've heard from him on the record, where he says, I have to leave the Israel camp. And I would say that's even different than what he said on Megyn Kelly. Because on Megyn Kelly, he said, oh, you're going to call me an anti-Semite? He sort of stopped himself. He said, well, you're going to lose me. That's what he was going towards.
Yeah, and then,
you're not going to lose me. He goes, but I'm going to be deflated. In that text, he says, I'm out. And I would characterize that as I was his rival, and I'm very cynical about him. He was kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. He was really in the middle because, like you said, it's young people. They are Israel critical, and he had to go and defend the bull to them at the campus, in the arena, in the pit.
One more thing rather explosively. 3 people told me off record. 2 people who have this in a written communication from Charlie. One who is a Turning Point USA donor, and I would say very much one of the white knights in this. The very day before Charlie Kirk died, he expressed that he thought he was going to be killed. He told these people, I think they're going to kill me, okay? He did not express that to me, so I am telling you this based off the testimony of 3 people. And I am saying this because I hope that these people, who I think are good, will be inspired to come forward with that. Now, again, those conversations I had were off record. I honor that. If I say it's off record, it stays off record. But I'm hoping that watching what I am doing and feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, you know, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be, and maybe tell us, who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they? Who is the they that he thought were going to?
Erica's body language, her behavior after Charlie's death, and even the way she grieved. Everything was analyzed and picked apart. To many, it all looked staged, almost manufactured. Even the story of how Erica met Charlie, her background, and her career. It all started to feel like one big lie. One user on Twitter wrote, "Boy, when the truth comes out about Erica Kirk, people are going to be mind blown. Poor Charlie had no idea who he was really married to. These people are some of the strangest out there."
But I want to take the start of this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there. I first want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange, and I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public. I wanted to not betray my friends' trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because it happened really quick. It took 33 hours for authorities to get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with a few people.
There were even rumors that Erica might have been a honeypot, someone deliberately placed in Charlie's life to trap him. Some people online went as far as to claim that Erica wasn't just a coincidence, but was actually planted there with a purpose.
They are trying to replace Usha Vance with Erica Kirk, because Erica Kirk and JD Vance is their Christian nationalist wet dream. And you won't convince me otherwise, because what is this? What is this body language? When did we start putting our hands up in the hair of our friends when we hug? Yeah, no, you don't. This is weird. Oh, and then there's this one. JD, why are your hands so low? There's no reason for them to be on her hips, but there they are. But if that's not enough, here is her introducing him at Turning Point.
I am tremendously blessed and honored tonight to be able to introduce to you a very, very dear friend and his wife. They are incredible. And I see no one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President JD Vance. I do.
And if you're not convinced yet that they're trying to replace her with Erica Kirk, this is him when asked by a student about him and his wife's difference in like their religious beliefs, and he ends it with this.
Do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way.
He wants her to fall in line. He wants her to be a Christian nationalist just like him. And if he can't convince her, he'll find a new one.
Charlie was never going to give up control of Turning Point USA. That much was clear. But now, someone who fully aligns with the official narrative has taken over. Meanwhile, the investigation into Charlie's death has practically come to a halt. What's even more surprising is that ever since Kash Patel took over as director of the FBI, every so-called criminal seems to end up with their confessions written on bullets.
No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person with a, that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence. Now, did we know that? No, not until we were like 3 months into our relationship and looking at timestamps, seeing that both of us were in Israel at the same time.
People, this was so arranged. And there's so much more to Erica Kirk. Kind of like how she was all into basketball, didn't want to be all girly, never liked to dress up, even cut all her hair off, and ended up being Miss USA. How does that happen? How do you go from sports to Miss USA? And then they meet at a Turning Point event in 2018, where she's interviewing for a job for Turning Point. Solidified. I got a feeling there's more to the story here.
The way Trump reacted to Charlie's death, and how casually he seemed to dismiss it, drew heavy criticism. Remember, Charlie dedicated his entire career to supporting Trump, even stepping away from his own goals just to spread Trump's message. Yet, after Charlie's death, Trump reportedly made jokes about the situation, even saying at one point that he couldn't care less. What shocked people the most was when Trump was seen dancing during Charlie's memorial, right beside Charlie's widow.
Erica Kirk is either the epitome of what it means to be a MAGA woman who dumbs herself down and minimizes her success in the name of the man and the movement, or she is a honeypot, because there's been speculations that Kash Patel is in a honeypot relationship, and that would kind of make sense, right? Like, you want to keep those guys close, you want to keep those guys together, you want to keep those guys controlled, right? If you don't know what a honeypot is, it's normally when a very attractive woman is used to control, manipulate, keep an eye on, guide a man, right? Erica Kirk has a law degree. She has a doctorate. She has 2 bachelor's degrees. She's 5 years older than Charlie. She had a successful basketball career in college. She had a successful pageantry career. And then in 2018, she runs into Charlie Kirk for the first time, and then they're very quickly married within, I think it's like 3 years or whatever. First of all, they've only been together for 7. I've keep seeing people say they've been floating around for like 10 years or whatever. They haven't. They've only been together for 7 years. This isn't some godly, long, profound, relationship that a lot of these people, they bring these people and MAGA, the high school sweethearts, whatever. She's either dumbed herself down to fit the narrative of what it means to be a MAGA woman, or she's a honeypot. Who else runs honeypot operations?
One user on Twitter wrote, Charlie dedicated a decade of his life to fueling causes that benefited Donald Trump, activating the youth, converting them and being a loyal soldier for the right, and so on. Yet, in death, once it became clear that Charlie couldn't be used as a political talking point, Trump barely acknowledged him. He devoted half a second to mentioning Charlie Kirk, before immediately plugging his new White House ballroom.
It's the heart-wrenching moment Charlie Kirk's widow whispers her final goodbye to her slain husband in his casket.
I love you. God bless you.
She shared her unimaginable grief in a video diary that included showing his casket being placed in the hearse for its final journey. Today, 36-year-old Erica is being compared with another young widow, Jackie Kennedy, who famously returned to Washington still wearing the suit covered in JFK's blood following his assassination in 1963. Erica also stood next to her late husband's empty chair in the studio where he recorded his popular podcast. She spoke about the heartbreaking moments she had to tell their 3-year-old daughter Gigi that her father was never coming back.
She goes, "Where's Daddy?" What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, "Baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus."
Choking back tears, she said she was taking on Kirk's political movement, Turning Point USA.
The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
Arizona. Erica is no stranger to the spotlight. She is a former Miss Arizona, competing in the Miss USA pageant in 2012.
Erica Fonte, 23, Arizona.
She also appeared on a dating show in 2019, season 3 of Bravo TV's Summer House.
Candace Owens believes that the highest levels of government may have been involved in what happened to Charlie. She's pointed out how Charlie's true message was buried, and how his public image was reshaped to appear far more pro-Israel than he ever intended.
And we're going to look into that.
What do we do about our country with that? Because we have radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime.
Law enforcement fired sniper rifles at ICE agents and me, but I made a turn at a good time. I turned to the right. Charlie couldn't believe it, actually. He said, "How the hell did you make that turn?" I said, "I don't know."
The most shocking part of this entire story is how Charlie actually predicted his own death. Candace Owens revealed that Charlie had written a private memo, one that was never supposed to be seen by the public, where he detailed his growing concerns about foreign influence within Turning Point itself. According to her, Charlie wasn't scared for his life, but he knew something big was coming, something he couldn't stop.
How are you holding up over the last 3.5 years? I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually. Thank you so much.
On her radio program, commentator Megyn Kelly revealed that just days before Charlie Kirk's tragic death, Jezebel published an article claiming that staff writers had actually cursed him. According to the report, witches were hired to spiritually break him down. One of them even delivered a burned photo of Charlie's face as proof that the ritual had been performed. The article chillingly stated, "To ruin his day with the collective feminist power of the Etsy coven would be my life's greatest joy."
And then when Trump rushed to tweet out that, or Truth Social out that photo, an AI photo of him and Charlie with the Star of David in the background, I just knew. I knew the investigation into who murdered Charlie Kirk was officially over, right? The officials wanted nothing to do with it because there was nobody more psychotically insistent that people stop asking questions about Charlie's death immediately. I mean, early hours, right? More than the people that are dedicated to the Israel lobby, right? These individuals, if you go back, people that are pro-Israel for whatever reason, were like, do not look any further into this death. In fact, I'll challenge you, do me a favor. Find me one.
The question on everyone's mind is simple. If Charlie was targeted, then who was really pulling the strings behind the scenes? According to Candace Owens, the truth is far more terrifying than anyone imagined. She claims it wasn't just about politics or enemies in the media. Instead, she says there's an entire network, powerful, hidden, and deeply organized, that decides who rises and who falls. And when someone steps out of line, they're removed. Whether you believe her or not, her words sent shockwaves across social media. Some called her courageous. Others said she'd gone too far.
And then I felt the need to start going through messages and conversations between me and Charlie. And sure enough, I stumbled upon many messages of him telling me how he would die. And I'm going to show you some of those messages now, a particular set of messages that were written on April 6th, 2018, just a couple of weeks before Kanye tweeted, "I love the way Candace Owens thinks," which is relevant because a lot of things changed after that tweet. And it's relevant because Charlie sensed that something big was about to happen. And I think that is what the something big was. I also want to say, obviously, I am not making up these messages, okay? Turning point. Actually, Mikey McCoy has access to all of Charlie Kirk's messages. They can tell you that these ones are real. Here is what he wrote. We were again talking about Kanye. Charlie wrote to me, "You're going to be the Iron Lady of America." He had such a political vision for me. I never wanted that sort of a thing. I see it so freaking clearly. I might be Moses, though. I might not see this whole thing through. LMAO. If that is the case, be my David. I said, dude, you haven't even realized your power yet. You're so young, is what I was thinking. He said, if I tell you the true prophecy that I know in my gut, it's really sad, but I hope it's wrong. He went on to say, anyway, I am not sure if I will live to see the end of this revolution. I believe you were the piece that God meant me to meet that will finish the fight. Since the beginning of TPUSA, I knew in my gut that I might get wiped out at any time. I cannot explain it, but I dream about it all the time, like all the time. Anyway, that's depressing combo for another time, LMAO. I said, that's weird, more of a fear manifestation than an actualization. He said, I'm not really afraid of it, but I'm just telling you what I know to be true. And he told me that. He told me that. I don't know why. Charlie knew he was going to die young. And I don't know. I just felt like I needed to share that because it is in part why the moment that Charlie got shot, I just knew he was betrayed spiritually. In the same way that Charlie knew that he was going to die young, I knew that this was a part of something bigger. And so I wanted to say to you guys,
Charlie Kirk may be gone, but the questions surrounding his final days are louder than ever. What really happened to Charlie Kirk? Who had the most to gain? And why are so many people working so hard to keep the truth buried? Let me know what you think in the comments below, because this story, it's only just getting started.